Hey guys, I'm Tammy from Minerva, and today I'm going to talk to you about boiler suits and how you can create this really statement effect at home. Boiler suits are all the rage at the moment, and they're really elevated and stylish to wear. They're basically an all-in-one piece that is super comfortable to put on. In this video, I'm going to share 4 different fabric and pattern picks so you can create this statement piece at home. I found this really adorable black boiler suit from H&M, and I love the way this one looks. It just feels really chic, and I actually really like it when you use a fabric with a bit of texture on a pattern like this because there's so much room to work with and it allows the fabric to really shine. Boiler suits in general normally have a lot of different details going on in one garment, so they have lots of different construction methods, and when it just comes all together it looks really elevated and sophisticated, and you can see the level of craft that's gone into making these types of outfits. The first pattern that I want to talk about is the Closet Core Blanca flight suit. I have seen this all over Instagram and it really feels like one of those cult patterns that is becoming a classic. So the Blanca flight suit is a semi-fitted silhouette and it has a lot of different customizable details. It can be sewn with multiple sleeve lengths, leg options, and features a statement front zip and an optional tie or buckled belt to really cinch you in at the waist. This pattern really looks so gorgeous and I just love how customizable it is. It is classed as an advanced pattern, so if you're an intermediate but you're looking to really level up your sewing skills and try something a bit different, you can definitely try making this pattern. The Blanca flight suit recommends fabrics like cotton, linen, denim, so you're thinking your more sturdier fabrics to give it a bit of structure. But if you want that softer vibe, using a fabric that's medium weight with a little bit of drape will definitely create a softer look. But for this pattern, I've got 2 different fabrics that I want to share, and they're both cord fabrics, so I'm going to show you the difference between them so you can see what they look like. The first one is this 21 whale cotton needle fabric in the shade Ivory, and this is what it looks like. It feels so soft and you can see it has a really nice amount of drape, but it also has a bit of structure, as you can see. If you've never tried touching cord fabric before, you can get them when they're really soft on the right side of the fabric, and this one is so soft against the skin. So I would say this one is definitely a bit more lightweight, but if I give you a close-up of the fabric, you can probably just see the lines of the cord running down the fabric, and that's the texture that cord fabric has. But this is the perfect example of a fabric that has drape but also structure, so when you're sewing a pattern like the Blanca flight suit, it's going to have enough structure for all those design details, but it's also going to be quite cozy and casual to wear, so it won't feel really restricted when you're actually wearing it. And then I've also got our 8 whale cotton corduroy fabric, and as you can see I got this really gorgeous bright pink shade. It looks so cool. I think straight from the back, if I give you a close-up, you can see the difference. So if this one, it has a lot more distinct rows of the lines going down, and that's the corduroy detail, so the lines are actually thicker, so it looks a bit more prominent on the actual fabric. This one is so silky and soft. I absolutely love this. This one definitely feels a lot thicker, so I would say this is medium weight, and then the white one is lighter weight. You can see that has a bit more drape and this one has a bit more structure. I am such a fan of making really bold statement outfits, so I would actually use a really bright color like this for this pattern. But then saying that, if you are someone that likes to have a bit more neutral colors in their wardrobe and you don't want to have something too daring, using a color like Ivory is just perfect to create that really luxury looking aesthetic but also have fun with a bit of texture on the fabric. One of our Minerva makers, Lottie Learn to Sew, actually made this pattern in a red linen slub fabric, and that's what inspired me to use the bright pink. I just love how her version just feels really bold and statement, and that's the kind of vibe that I really like. I also came across Tessa's version, and she actually made this in a black stretch denim, but I really like her example because she's actually used a contrasting stitching color all over the boiler suit, and I just love the effect that gives. It just feels like such a small and simple detail that you can incorporate into any of your makes to give it that extra special touch. So if you're looking for a more advanced pattern and you want something to challenge your skills, the Blanca flight suit would be perfect for you. So the next pattern that I want to talk about is the Liberty London Zadie boiler suit. This is a gorgeous classic boiler suit that has a really vintage silhouette. This pattern has a short play suit option as well as a full leg option, and this one actually has a button down front down the center instead of a zip, as well as having a cute buckled belt to cinch you in at the waist. It also has 2 different finishes on the leg hem, and you can either use a standard hem finish or you can actually use an elasticated finish at the hem. The pattern recommends any of your cottons, linens, twills. Again, I think any medium weight fabric that has a bit of drape to give a bit more of a fluid look. So for this pattern, I've got two types of linen that I want to share, and the first that I want to talk about is this linen slub fabric in a wine shade. I absolutely adore this one. So you can see it has that gorgeous linen structure and it has a nice amount of drape without it being too stiff. This color as well is absolutely gorgeous. I think that suits me so well. If I give you a bit of a close-up of the fabric, so you can see that absolutely gorgeous linen texture on the fabric. And I would say this is definitely medium weight, so it's not lightweight and see-through. Obviously it looks a tiny bit see-through here, but that's just because it's one sheet of fabric. But that texture is really, really stunning, and I just love how this one falls. And then I've also got this heavy stone washed linen in this gorgeous green shade. This one is definitely heavier, you can see the difference, but I would say this one actually has a bit more drape. If I just compare them both together, you can see this one is definitely lighter weight, but I would say this one has a bit more drape. So it really depends on what kind of style of garment you're going for, if you want something with a tiny bit more structure or if you want something that's a bit more fluid and looser. But let me give you a close-up of this green one. I would say this one has a bit more of a pattern detail on the front of the fabric, and it just looks so gorgeous. Oh, I love them. I mean, you could even do a two-tone boiler suit, so you could make the boiler suit in one and then have all the pockets and the details in another color. That would be super daring, but something to consider if you want something a bit more out there and statement. I saw one of our Minerva makers, Mina, made this actually in a linen fabric, and I love how her version turned out. It feels really comfortable and relaxed, but also really stylish. That fabric she's chosen really holds the details of the boiler suit really well without it feeling really structured and stiff. So if you don't fancy making a zipped version of a boiler suit, this daily jumpsuit would be a perfect alternative because it has a button down front, which might be easier to sew if you don't like sewing zips. So the next pattern I want to talk about is the Heidi Play Suit by Vicky So. I am such a fan of Vicky So patterns. I think they're really stylish and elevated, and they're always like a trendy take on a classic pattern, and this boiler suit is no different. The pattern is semi-fitted and it features patch pockets, a button front detail, sleeve tabs on the elbow length sleeves, and a comfy yet statement elastic back with 4 channels. Just a reminder that this pattern doesn't have a full length option, it only comes as a short play suit, but if you're fine with that vibe, this might be a perfect pattern for you. The fabric recommends more medium weight fabrics like cotton, denim, linen, corduroy, but I came across our gorgeous cotton twill fabric, and this is in the shade olive green. I absolutely love this fabric, and cotton twill normally has a bit more structure, so when you're making a play suit or something that requires a bit more structure for all the design details it has, this is a perfect fabric to choose. So you can definitely see this is a bit more medium weight and it holds the structure absolutely beautifully without it feeling too stiff or rigid. But let me give you a close-up of the fabric. You can just about see that really nice twill detail with the lines going down diagonally on the fabric. It also has a bit of a sheen to it, which I really like. I think that works beautifully with this sort of color pairing too. I've also got our Gabardino twill fabric in this really gorgeous pink shade. You can see this one is definitely a bit more lightweight. It also has a really nice sheen on the right side of the fabric. Let me give you a close-up. So you can just see those diagonal lines of the twill fabric, and that's a detail that I really like with this type of fabric. So here they are next to each other. You can see this one is definitely more medium weight and it has more structure, whereas this one feels a lot more fluid and drapey. They would both work really well for this pattern. Again, it depends what kind of vibe you're going for. If you want something with a bit more structure that's going to hold the design details a bit more solidly, then this fabric would be good. Whereas if you're wanting something with a bit more drape and maybe it's going to feel a bit more comfier on, then the Gabardino might be a better option for you. One of our Minerva makers, Chloe Clark, actually made this exact pattern, and I love the fabric she's chosen. Everything about this just looks so chic and expensive, and it holds the design details really beautifully. I just love how trendy and playful this pattern feels, and I was even thinking you could use the contrasting stitching detail on this to elevate it even further. The last pattern that I want to talk about is the Simplicity 9822. This pattern feels like the perfect classic piece, and it has a gorgeous button front detail down the center. It also has long cuffed sleeves as well as front pockets and 2 different leg options, so you can either sew it with a wider leg or a tapered version. This pattern recommends fabrics like denim, cotton, linen, even sateen, and I personally like the fabric that they've used in the photos. It has that really classic look, and that's why for this fabric I'm going to share, they're actually both denim fabrics. So this is our stretch washed denim fabric fabric in a black shade, and I absolutely love how this looks. This is the right side, and then the wrong side looks like this. Denim fabric always has a really obvious right and wrong side. So I purposely chose one that has a bit of stretch to it. You can see when you pull the fabric, it's got a tiny bit of give, and that's going to be really useful if you're sewing something like a boiler suit or a jumpsuit, but you want to give it a bit of stretch so it's not too constricting. It's got a really nice amount of structure, as you can see, and it will hold the design details of the pattern really nicely. Let me give you a close-up of what this looks like. So you can see that gorgeous denim detail on the fabric, and it just looks so pretty in person. I love how this moves. It's really structured without, again, it feeling too stiff or anything like that. And then I also chose a really classic shade. So this is our poly cotton denim fabric in the shade Aqua, and this one doesn't have stretch, so it's a pure denim fabric, and I just love how this looks. That color is so bright and fun without it feeling too out there. These denim fabrics are going to look so gorgeous in this boiler suit pattern if you are looking for more of a classic style that doesn't have a really bold pattern. So let me give you a close-up of this one. That is what the fabric looks like. You can just see the texture of the fabric, and I would just say when you're using denim fabric, it is going to hold the design details much more structured. So if you're looking for that sort of style, this is going to be perfect for you. So these are the two fabrics next to each other. This one has stretch, so it's a tiny bit more drapey, whereas this one has no stretch, so it's a bit more structured. I just know these two would make a perfect boiler suit if you are looking for more of a classic look. I hope you enjoyed this video and it's given you a bit of inspiration to try sewing your own statement boiler suit. They feel like such a stylish and elevated way to wear an all-in-one outfit, and I just honestly love the level of craft and detail that goes into the construction. I'd love to hear which pattern or fabric was your favourite, so make sure to leave a comment down below. All the patterns and the fabrics that I talked about in this video are available on our website, so make sure to check them out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.